In 1350, what we know as the idyllic French countryside was a living hell. For more than 15 years, the people had suffered at the hands of English invaders. Little did they know that this war would last for another 100 years. But through this crucible of fighting, famine and plague, there would emerge the modern nation of France. England's King Edward III looked jealously across the English Channel. Wanting France for his own, he had added the fleur-de-lis, the symbol of France, to his own royal standard. This was an all-out declaration of war. And in 1337, he invaded. But France already had a king, Philippe VI. As the English burned their way across the land, Philippe's army and his legendary knights marched to meet them, and came face to face with the English longbow. A simple weapon, but the most devastating the knights had ever faced. The heroes of France fell to storms of English arrows. The war engulfed the French countryside. By 1351, the conflict was focused on Brittany. One fight stands out as a spectacular display of chivalry, and a symbol of the wider conflict between the two enemy nations. The Combat of the 30 is still commemorated here in Brittany. It was a dispute between two local families. Supported by the opposing sides in the war, the French and English commanders decided to settle it through a trial of knightly combat. Each side would choose 30 champions to fight on neutral ground. France prepared to defend itself against England's finest. Intent on ending the suffering of the French peasantry, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir sent a challenge to the English commander. 30 champions on each side would compete in a tournament for final claim to Brittany. With the battleground of the halfway oak agreed upon, Sir Jean set out to gather support from local knights.
Donetz-moi vos advits.
As a knight himself, Sir Jean followed the strict rules of chivalry and was expected to protect the local peasantry and ensure peace.
Mon arway mène avec moi. Je vais vos obéir. Puer girid. Honor reste obéi.
Most medieval tournaments were friendly in nature, held for sport and glory, but the Combat of the 30 was arranged between opponents mired in war. English raids had torn through the countryside of Brittany and brought great hardship to the people.
votre service. Quando je commande, avant. Avant, compagnon. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Retrayez vos amours. Incontinent. Je suis votre serveur.
Sir Jean spotted an English raiding party attacking a nearby farmstead.
Comme vos voldrez.
Bien savez.
Je suis votre serveuse. Pour votre service. Porte les avoués. Affaibloyons l'ennemi. Je cours dessus. C'est comme vos voldrez. Chevalier, pour entier. Si très tous vont mourir. Tous sommes prêts. À la sonne, chevalier. Sommes en ordonnance. Sommes en ordonnance. Incontinent. Chevalier, avertissez votre courage.
The French knights defeated the English raiders, and Sir Guy de Rochefort joined Sir Jean's party.
Obéir, c'est fait.
Où est votre plaisir?
L'heure est de incontinent.
Sir Jean's search next brought him to Sir Geoffroy Dubois, whose squires were contending with a detachment of English longbowmen. The knights would use the great speed of their war horses to charge the archers and overwhelm them.
Obéir, c'est vertu.
The English longbowmen fell, but the French knights knew the enemy would attempt to retake the hilltop fortification and steeled themselves for further attacks.
Avant, compagnon.
Les ennemis sont tristes de me craindre. Chasse que je tempère en sa vie. Compagnon, reste qu'on a besoin. Les soldats en postière.
À la sonne, chevalier. À la sonne, chevalier. Reste tous sommes prêts. Qu'ils soient vaincus. Donnez-moi vos habits. Porte les avoués.
In As a knight himself, Sir Jean followed the strict rules of chivalry and was expected to protect the local peasantry and ensure peace.
Avejevoć, Beci
Incontinent. Si trestus vont. Thomas und Ordnung! Chevalier, rentrez jetzt vos à moi!
Most medieval tournaments were friendly in nature, held for sport and glory, but the combat of the 30 was arranged between opponents mired in war. English raids had torn through the countryside of Brittany and brought great hardship to the people. Sir Jean spotted an English raiding party attacking a nearby farmstead.
L'heure est de besogne. À la somme, chevalier! Je suis votre serveur!
Dicte souhait à besogne.
Tous sommes prêts! Pour votre service! Tous sommes prêts!
Quel est de votre plaisir? Justice and sa place! Compagnon, reste pour un tir!
Thomas und Ordnung, je commande!
The French knights defeated the English raiders, and Sir Guy de Rochefort joined Sir Jean's party.
Place, ung pied ci, ung pied là. Où sont vos commandements? Quel est votre plaisir?
Soyez prêts, compagnon! Accesmets vos, compagnon, retrayez vos à moi. Quand je commande, avant!
Sir Jean's search next brought him to Sir Geoffroy du Bois, whose squires were contending with a detachment of English longbowmen.
Pour votre service!
The knights would use the great speed of their war horses to charge the archers and overwhelm them. The English longbowmen fell, but the French knights knew the enemy would attempt to retake the hilltop fortification and steeled themselves for further attacks.
Liechtenstein, vos qui ung pied ci, ung pied là.
Soyez prêts, compagnon! Avant, compagnon! Tous sommes chevalier!
Chaskin send sa place! Down, postier! Compagnon! Reste pour le besoin! Compagnon! Reste pour agir! Bien, jetzt wird's donc! En avoué! Mettons nos en l'avoué.
L'heure est de besoigner. Avant, compagnon. Si comme vos voldrez. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Certes. Attendez les commandements. Avant, compagnon. Retrayez vos amouilles. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Quand je commande, avant. Quand je commande, avant. Je suis votre serveuse. Certes. Donnez-moi vos advices.
Looking to secure his honor, a young knight held his ground on a bridge in Sir Jean's path. Honorably conceding defeat in the duel, Sir Yves Charel joined the cause.
Aveillez Botch! Venez comme élément!
Accesbets vos, compagnon. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Incontinent. Si comme vos voldrez. Accesbets vos, compagnon.
Sir Jean entered the staging area for the tournament, where he prepared to choose which knights would join him in battle. Each knight would be accompanied by his squires, young nobles in training to become knights themselves.
Place! Veci!
Je suis votre serveuse.
Sir Jean had selected his champions. As the sun rose, the two sides entered the arena, ready for the first round of combat.
Veci commandement.
Compagnon. Votre jetzt Amway. Auf vostro service.
Claiming an easy victory in the first round, the French champions left the arena to recover their strength.
Soyez prêts, compagnons. Attendez les commandements. Votre jetzt vos Amway. Si comme vos voudrez.
Refreshed and reinvigorated, the French knights returned to the arena for another round of combat. The combat of the 30 was about to decide which nation would control the Duchy of Brittany.
Certes. Incontinent. Soyez prêts, compagnons. Let's do some play!
Triumphant, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir and his loyal knights claimed victory. The combat of the 30 had decided control of Brittany in favor of the French. Little did the two sides know, this was just the beginning of a bitter war that would outlive them all. After victory at the Combat of the 30, the French faced devastating raids from England's Black Prince. But France's King John II was closing in. Jean finally caught the English near the city of Poitiers in September 1356. The French army outnumbered the English by thousands. King Jean himself joined the fight, but what seemed a certain victory for France soon turned into a nightmare. The English longbow devastated the mighty French army. An endless hail of arrows gutted the main French force. Then the English captured King Jean. The fight was over. The Battle of Poitiers was another catastrophic defeat for the French. The English had destroyed most of France's nobility in a single day. Now they turned their attention towards taking the French capital, Paris. The invaders marched unopposed towards Paris. The remains of some of the medieval walls of Paris still stand today. As the English army approached, the terrified locals sought shelter behind these defenses. Could France's capital withstand the full might of the Black Prince's army? The English Black Prince had raided the French countryside without mercy, and now his army had come for the capital. With the English on their doorstep, it fell to the French army and the people of Paris to defend the walls of their proud city. Hoping to avoid open battle, the French began fortifying the city, manning the walls and calling every available soldier to his post. As the French hastened their preparations, several detachments of English soldiers were spotted closing in on the city.
À mon commandement.
Oyez les ordonnances. Laissez-moi y exploiter.
Accordé.
Besoin pour vous servir.
On me va. Ouais, j'y vais donc. pour vos servir.
Que faut-il donc? I trece sans nul arrest. Attendez les commandements, manance. Manance, nos devons salaire.
The English showed no mercy, burning their way to Paris via 3 routes, each of which was home to villages and farms that supplied the capital.
Ayez cure aux commandements.
À toutes les choses pour despartir. Manance, preste à ouvrir. Les guerres puissances, Manance.
Oyez les ordonnances. À votre commandement.
Oh yes, tout le monde. Vives exploitiers. Annonce. Avançons. Annonce. And Kevin.
Compagnons, ayez bien cure.
Having struck out at the English front line, the French had slowed the enemy's advance.
Vectors-nous à la voie, bien brillamment. Accespet vos, archers, obéis aux commandements.
Mix, jeunesse Legion.
Veici les commandements. Oyez, veici, commandements. Dites-moi mon Versailles. Archers, oyez, commandements. Devez où faut-il archouer appareil? J'obtempère. Compagnons, ayez bien cure.
Baillez moins besoin. Lorsque Mathilde s'escuit.
Les autres, les commandements.
Ayez cure aux commandements. Si comme le volet.
Bayez moins besoin. Oui, d'avec oui. Oyez, tous le
Advertance au monde.
Lors devant nos salaires.
As the French continued to rally their army, the English took the last of the surrounding villages and had almost encircled Paris.
Tous dialogues. Oyez, tous le monde. Allons, ça tresse tous. Marchez arrière, moi et trestos. Accordé.
With the countryside in flames and the English at the city gates, the French armies steeled themselves for battle. Now came the capital's true test. Would the mighty walls of Paris hold against a fearsome English siege?
Oyez les ordonnances.
The Parisian Guard raised the alarm as the English began their first assault on the city walls.
Besogne à fait et comme un volette. En besogne.
Paul, suis sans voué. En besoin que faut-il donc les soigner?
Oh, me faut traiwer. Et besogne.
Advertence, tout le monde. L'autre partie, je s'essuie. Oyez les ordonnances. Allons, sacrés-nous. Appareillement en
Die Oberestier, à Obelest au point. Avant, Obelestier, allons. Obelestier, avant, allons.
Que reste pour la besogne, Manance? L'ours dévance l'or solaire. Giovanni Bastille. L'ours bâtit se s'essuie.
Attendez, c'est commandement!
Manance, reste à hurler. Allons, s'entraînent tous.
Les autres, commandement. J'obéis à votre commandement.
Oh yes, les ordonnances. Giovanni Bastille.
The French army fought valiantly, repelling the first English attack.
Bien, bien. Very. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a, Moritz?
Oyez tous le monde.
Pex, je laisse les tiens. Bei die Gefolgschaft ist gute. Sie wird weit.
Advertence, si belle explosion. Je vais raccompagner ce manoué.
Oil, messieurs des mouets. Sievage outchance. Besoin à faire.
Although the walls of Paris had been breached, the French could still hold the city, so long as its mighty landmarks did not fall.
Compagnon, comme vos blessed. Compagnon, veillez les avions moins. La décharge sera complète.
The French defense of their capital held firm, wearing down the English invaders one by one.
Les commandements guets! Enchères! Oriente comme entière! Annonce primo!
Attendez, les commandements, madame.
Pour me pas trahir. Hitler se bâtit de ses esprits.
Compagnon, reste par à agir. Agir! En prenant sa bataille, compagnon! Dites-nous la besoin! Pointus de son délivrera!
Oh yes, les ordonnances.
Archers, vos arcs le ferai-je donc?
Marche arrière, moi et reste tous. Si, comme volette. Don't steal Lores.
où faut-il archir? Archère! Oyez, commandement, obéis au commandement! Reste portrait! J'y vais, ne s'excuse pas!
Besoin d'un frère? On se dit à l'oreille.
Da jest mój wysły.
Longtemps se va-t-il de rien?
Deichi,
Advertance de le monde. Leurs bâtilles s'expliquent.
reste portrait! Archers, défense, archers! The Mary went that noise! On the weapons, archers!
Advertance de le monde. Leurs devances nos salaires. En besoin.
L'asset way exploité!
Oh, me faut trahir. Je veux semaine derrière. Oh, yes, les ordonnances.
The enemy grew ever more desperate as their ranks thinned and their hopes of victory faded.
Oh yes, tout se demande. On se dit à l'oreille.
Dicte-moi mon versailles! Archers, attention! Archers, les commandements bien! Archers, défense! Chacun tête Versailles! Archers, oyez-y! Archers, accusez vos vertiers! Archers, j'aspire de voir à voir! Travaillez!
On reste pour la besoin, Manance? Je vous amène mes riens. Oh yes, tout se demande.
Réussi nouvelle sous l'ordre. Peignez les avions mouillés.
La demi-ligasse archi!
Peignez les avions mouillés, compagnons.
Defeated and demoralized by the strength of the French defense, the Black Prince's army abandoned their siege of the capital. Paris celebrated victory, but this was not the last test the French would face in their struggle to win the war. In the Hundred Years' War, the English used a terror tactic, a raid through enemy territory, intended to intimidate and provoke the French into battle. It was called chevauchée. The principal weapon for chevauchée was fire. And one of the ways it was delivered was with incendiary arrows.
Challenge with incendiary arrows? Keeping them alight.
One type of incendiary arrow was fueled with gunpowder.
You've got charcoal, got sulfur, and we've got saltpeter. Saltpeter is the main ingredient. The more oxygen you put into it, the hotter it burns. But of course, when it's on an arrow, when it's being shot, you've got a turbocharged airstream.
The chemicals are bound together with brandy, left to dry, and poured into a linen bag. The extra long arrowhead is inserted into the bag and then tied off to secure it. It is then sealed by dipping it into boiling tree resin. This resin, which itself is highly flammable, provides a waterproof casing. It also shields the burning gunpowder so the wind doesn't put it out in flight.
Now that looks deadly. And I really want to shoot it.
The art to shooting an incendiary arrow is timing. Too early, and it will go out. Too late, it will spit at you like a dragon.
That was just evil. That was great.
The word chevauchée means horse raid, and it was mobile light horsemen who spearheaded the attacks. They took gold and silver from the churches, valuables from wealthy citizens, and as much food and drink as they could find from anyone. A chevauchée was scorched earth warfare to create discontent amongst the enemy's subjects. Perhaps even to get them to turn against their king. An army on campaign needed a decisive battle. And a chevauchée was intended to taunt the enemy to come out and fight. After victory at the Combat of the 30, the French faced devastating raids from England's Black Prince. But France's King John II was closing in. Jean finally caught the English near the city of Poitiers in September 1356. The French army outnumbered the English by thousands. King Jean himself joined the fight, but what seemed a certain victory for France soon turned into a nightmare. The English longbow devastated the mighty French army. battlefields of the 100 Years' War were full of danger. To defend against these weapons, a new type of armor was developed. Plate armor.
Plate armor clad the knight in an articulating exoskeleton of hardened steel. A hard outer shell that still flexes and moves with the body.
It provided impressive protection and was an extraordinary technological achievement.
Now, one of the ways that armor gets its strength is through shape. Both these pieces are made out the exact same thickness as steel, but I can show you that one's stronger than the other. Here's the one with no shape. You see it buckles immediately. If I swap it for one that's been forged to have strength and shape, you can see it's much stronger. It's going nowhere.
It wasn't just the shape that gave it strength. It was also how the metal was treated by the armorer.
Now, the benefits of using heat is it obviously makes the piece more plastic, more ductile, lets me shape it. But the fuel also adds layers of carbon into the outer surface. This helps me increase the hardness and strength of the material.
The art of the armorer was being able to judge the temperature of the metal by eye, managing the heat to create resilience in the metal. The combination of heat-treated metal and rigid shapes meant that armor didn't need to be so thick and heavy, making it much easier to fight in. But good quality plate armor did have its downside. It was very expensive.
Now, not everyone could afford full steel plate armor. For the common man, there was the brigandine. Now, these are made up of overlapping steel plates that are then riveted through a textile outer. This gives you a much bigger range of movement, but is limited. It's not as strong as a full steel breastplate. That said, it is much cheaper and much easier to maintain.
At its best, the armored knight was invincible. But armor didn't just provide defense. It was also a weapon and an expression of a knight's power and prestige. Armor transformed its wearer into a work of art.